as I've said, I want to do things a little bit differently. Do you have Bibles? Bibles. I want to see Bibles. Minimum, ideally, and you'll see why I say this, I'd like you to have a physical Bible. That's what I'd really love you to have, a physical Bible. I'm like you guys. I have my Bible in my phone, many Bibles in my phone, and also in my tablet, on my laptop. So there's many ways to access the scripture these days. But I still, for what I'm going to show you, this is best. You'll understand why in a minute, right? But again, I'll encourage you any way you can access the scripture. We want to go to book of Luke, chapter 10. Luke chapter 10. So I'll just give you a moment to get there. If I can remember how to open my... So Luke chapter 10, I mean, it's 42 verses. I mean, it might seem like a lot, but it isn't really. For theologians call a bit of what we're going to do, they call it exegesis. Exegesis means, and for me personally, I call it ripping the text, right? And what it's talking about is the idea that you can look at the passage, whether you're looking at a few verses or a whole chapter. In this case, we're going to look at a whole chapter. And how do you extract out of that the meaning, the details? What's going on in that passage? Who are the characters? What's the context? Yeah? The particular verses, I will look at the whole chapter, but for me, today, I'll give you that kind of advanced thinking. There's a passage which I'm really interested within Luke chapter 10. Reading from verse 23. Are we there? Verse 23. Then turning to the disciples, Jesus said to them privately, "Blessed are the eyes that see what you see, for I tell you that many prophets and kings desired to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it." The question comes, what is it they're seeing? What is it they're seeing? And then reading on, verse 25 through 28, just then a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. I mean, how is this connected? What must I do to, teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, what is written in the law? Remember, his question is, how do I get eternal life? What do you read there? He answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. This is quite a classic text, right? And he said to him, you have given the right answer. Do this, and you will live. Okay? Just a little heads up, this lawyer, in this case, is quoting what the Jews call the Shema. The Jews have a portion which they would repeat every day. Yeah, just like the Muslims have. I can't remember what the Muslims call their daily repetition, but and part of that is from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. We won't go there now, but you can in a while. And part of it is from Leviticus 19:18. They put these bits together and they call it the Shema. So they're repeating this every day. So this lawyer is answering Jesus with something which is so well known to the Hebrews, to the Jews. Okay? He's quoting that which even the children know. Why does he come to Jesus with this question? So if I read this little portion, and one of the things about today, particularly using our phones, I don't know for your phone, I've switched mine off. How many verses do you see on the average screen at a time? 3 or 4 or maybe 5 if you crunch the text. If you make the text really small, then people like me can't read it. You with good eyes, you have no problem. But you can't see the whole chapter, can you? Yeah? And maybe like me, you also have these daily texts that come up. Do you have that? Yeah, you get a daily text, and we like that. It's encouragement, isn't it? It's building us in the Word. But often those texts sit in isolation. We're not contextualizing them. We don't know where it came from, the passage, the story that it relates to. And we could misunderstand what's being said because we're not understanding the context. Okay? So, and that's not to throw these devices away. I use mine every day. Yeah, maybe you don't know this, but I'm kind of a bit of a crazy character. My verse for the day, I translate it in whether the Greek or the Hebrew. I do my own translation of that verse every day. I'm not saying you should do that. I learned the biblical languages, but I make that translation of my own, and it helps me to remember and to get inside the text and understand a bit more of what's being said. I mean, that's one thing. Does everybody need to understand biblical Greek and biblical Hebrew? No. No, they don't. But there's also tools that you can use which will take you into in the other languages. But let me maybe say this. At the moment, depending on what you're using, but if you've got a physical Bible, you could open, and just based on the way it's laid out, you can see most of the chapter. Yeah? Depending on how your one is laid out, maybe you can see the whole chapter. I start to ask questions. Who's this lawyer? Why is he asking Jesus this question? It's followed by this little interaction between Jesus and the lawyer. Is followed by the story of the Good Samaritan. Classic story. We learn it as children. So why does that follow? The chapter begins with the sending out of the 70. Maybe that's new to some of you. I don't know what level of biblical knowledge you have. So how does all of this fit together? Where are we in the Jesus story? Because, of course, we have the beginning, Jesus on the major, we have the beginning of his ministry, and the end of his ministry. What's the pinnacle of Jesus' ministry? What's the core point, the core thing that all the Gospels drive to? What's the core event? His death on the cross, right? So now you're beginning to speak to me. But I'm going to hopefully get you to speak a little bit more. They spend more time on the crucifixion than anything else in the 4 Gospels. Yeah? There's nothing that's covered in so much detail. So that tells us from a even without being spiritual about it, if we were just looking at it from a point of view of literature, the thing that they spend most time on is the most important part of the story. Is that, can we make that argument? Yeah? Okay. So, and then if you look at the end of the chapter, going from verse 38 onwards, let's someone else who hasn't said anything yet, because if you haven't woken up, I want you to be awake. Tell me what's going on from verse 38 onwards. Don't just read it to me. Anyone can do that. What's going on in verse 38 to the end of the chapter? So take a moment, you can read it. And just give me a quick overview in a few words. I don't want you to analyze it, just give me an assessment. What's going on? Let me. Martha's welcoming Jesus. Okay. What else is going on? But there's a bit of a problem, at least from Mary's point of view. Martha's point of view, yeah.
Martha was distracted, and she said to Jesus, why is Mary leaving me alone to do the work? Probably this is because she wanted to help me. And then Jesus answered,
so they've got a visitor has come, and Martha is in the kitchen preparing for this visitor, but Mary is not concerned with this. She's not helping her at all. Where is Mary? She's sitting at the... Okay. And what happens at the feet of Jesus? Why would she be at the feet of Jesus? Huh? Oh, what peace? Okay. He doesn't kick. Okay. She wants to learn. Think of the image. What image do you get when you see Jesus, right? Jesus, the rabbi. Yeah? Rabbi. In our parlance, rabbi is teacher. Yeah? Mentor. Who sits at the feet of the rabbi? Of the teacher? The student. Yeah? So, yes, she's getting peace, but she's also learning. She's being taught by the teacher, by the rabbi, by Jesus. How does all of this bit fit together? The 70, who have sent out. I mean, in the middle of it, you've got this thing that comes up. I'm being random for a purpose. Verse 17. So in verse 1, you could flick there if you want to. The Lord appointed 70 others and he sent them out and he gave them instructions what to do when you get to certain towns or villages, wherever you're going. Now, in verse 17, can somebody read for us? verse 17 to 20. I don't know where the microphone is. Yeah, so anyone who can read for us.
Then the 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Up to which verse?
To 20, yeah.
Okay. Behold, I give you the authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and all over the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subject to you, because rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven.
Okay, thank you. In the middle of that text, I saw Satan falling from heaven like lightning. All right? Something about what's going on makes Jesus see this image of Satan falling from heaven like lightning. How does this fit? And then these 70 are being told, I've given you authority to step on scorpions and serpents, right? Is this talking about literally scorpions and serpents? Is this what this is about? Is it saying that those who follow me will be able to step on bugs and insects, yeah? And snakes. Those of you from Africa, you know about snakes. We don't only see them on the TV. Huh? You're a good Adventist. Go sit with a cobra. Cobra, how will you pronounce it? Adder. And you'll quote this text. Is that what it's talking about? I'm posing the question. Is that what it's talking about? But these are the things. What I'm trying to give you is some of the idea. For me, when I'm now coming to this passage, and I've read in the middle of it, the law tells the law. The understanding of the law is love God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Then I want to know, how does all of this fit together? What's going on in this narrative? Is it a battle with physical creatures? Is that what it's about? And then you got the story of the Good Samaritan. Okay. Let me give you some challenges. 70. The number 70. Is there anything, we look for what we call, I, whether others use this same terminology, I don't know. I call it echoes in the text. Echoes in the text. What am I saying by that? Does this thing that I'm seeing here, does it happen somewhere else? Is the same language used somewhere else? The same word, the same phrase? Is there an echo in the story? What's going on? Jesus chooses 70 and he sends them out. Is there anywhere else in Scripture where there's 70 chosen? Was that the same you were going to? 70 times 7. So those are the echoes, yeah? The Jews believe that the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, no, not Shem, Ham, and Japheth, am I right? Yeah, I think Shem, Ham, and was 70 nations. They believe the world is made of 70 nations. Do all of these echoes fit? Is there one of them that has more of a fit? In other words, because Luke is speaking to a Hebrew audience, right? When he writes, His primary audience is Hebrew, but he's also talking to people like me down the ages, right? So he knows that when they hear that 70, something will echo. What is it? Which one kind of grabs you more in terms of a fit with choosing 70? And I heard you already, Nopsa.
When the children of Israel were captured from their land by Nebuchadnezzar, they were sent into slavery for 70 years. They were in slavery.
70 years. Yeah. Okay. And 70 times 7, 490. There's all these different echoes. But, okay, let me... I like the elders. 70. Yes, the 70, 490 prophecy. Okay. But do you see anything prophetic in this? Well, there's one maybe prophetic thing that you could probably talk about in this passage, and that's Satan falling from heaven like lightning. I mean, the question would come, is when Jesus says that, is that what's happening at that moment? Is he making a statement of reality? This is what I'm seeing, and it's happening right now. Or is this echo language? Is there something else that he's seeing? Is he referring to some past event, future event? What's going on in the text? Right, I'm going to send you to some places now. But let me just say this. In the passage, in the previous chapter, or the previous 2 chapters, Jesus chooses 12 disciples. Yeah? This is context. This is what we call context. You want to look back and read the story. Don't just read the verse. What's going on? What's going on in the narrative? If you go back, he chooses 12. And he trains them and he sends them. But now then he chooses 70 and he trains them and he sends them. The echo for the 12, particularly you see this in the book of Revelation and various other places, 12 apostles and 12, what's the Old Testament classic 12? 12 tribes, the 12 sons of Jacob. So you get the Old Testament, pre-story, if you like, the front history of the 12 tribes. And then in the New Testament, you get the 12 apostles. So I'm comfortable, Nomsa, with the choosing of the 70 judges, and then the choosing. It's not making new judges. He's making a new kingdom. Yeah? I mean, this is some of the things we could think about. Let me make some suggestions to you, some of the tools that I use. I mean, where I live in Bracknell, I'm not too far from Newbold College, and I have a membership there, so I can go in the library and I can sit for hours pulling books and manuscripts off the shelves and digging into them. Not everybody has that opportunity, but I also use lots of online tools. Do you know what I mean if I say concordance? What's a concordance? Somebody explain, because others may not know. Okay. That's getting to.
Related with that word, all the verses that are containing that word, and then another verses that has link
To that.
between them, and then you can extend this a lot. a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. So, for instance, in this passage, just like the 70, you could look up all the 70s in the scripture, isn't it? And then you want to think, okay, do any of them fit with what's going on in this narrative? I don't need the mic because I'm connected. In verse 13 of Luke 10, verse 13, it says, sorry, is this too much scripture? I like scripture. I don't even want food when I'm in scripture. I don't even want food. I don't think about it. And it says, woe to you. What's the Chorazin? Woe to you, Bethsaida. Yeah, for if the deeds of you had been done in Tyre and Sidon. Yeah. If you go further to, and you, Capernaum, verse 15, and you, Capernaum, will you be exalted to heaven? No, you'll be brought down to Hades. Concordance. Chorazin. You're going to look up that word, that place. What can you find out about Chorazin? You're going to want to find out about Bethsaida. Look it up. These days you can Google it. The problem is, if you only use Google and Wikipedia, then these are what we call weak sources. Many of you are academics and far more knowledgeable than me of academia. But what you want is good, strong sources, isn't it? Yeah? You want good, strong sources, and you want multiple sources. You want counter sources so you don't want to just know what one person says about Chorazin or what one person says about Capernaum. So what I'm saying, in order to rip the text, you want to find out about these towns. What is Jesus speaking about? What are these places that he just makes reference to like that? Hades. What is Hades? Can anybody help us? What is Hades? Or what do you think Hades is? Hell. Okay, well, that's just another word. You've just replaced one word with another word. Well done. No marks. No, I'm being horrible. So if you replace the word with the other word, still loaded in the word hell, you must have some understanding. You said it so fast, so do you have the mic? Okay, hell. Hades, hell. You said the two are synonymous. Is that what you're saying? The two terms are synonymous? And if so, what is Hades or hell? Or you only had the word? Okay. Speak.
The second coming of Jesus Christ.
So if we went with that understanding, then you would be arguing that they will be judged in the end when he says to Capernaum, Hades is for you? Is that what we'd be arguing, that Capernaum is going to receive some judgment? Could that maybe be?
No.
But you said it relates to the final judgment. I'm not saying we have to know. These are the things we want to unpack. Yeah? Beatrice? Sorry, my brother, you were saying something, so let's grab your thought.
I thought it was tribulation, suffering.
Okay, a place of tribulation and suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something? It's certainly not positive term. Does anybody see Hades as a positive term? Tribulation, suffering, judgment. Beatrice?
On the days of Jesus, this was the cities. I haven't read that concordance to know the meaning of Bethsaida, Capernaum, and Sidon, but they were cities where the many miracles was done. by Jesus himself, why they didn't welcome him. So those days has passed. Now is our days now. So we're relating with this time. Are these things still happening? That this city, we don't welcome God in our lives in spiritually. Yeah? Is that judgment, as the brother say there, is it coming now? Because people, they see the word of God, but we don't believe. We are just ignorant. So what will come? Is will come the judgment.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just think, isn't hell the making of what your hell is? Hell is different for each person. I don't know what hell is for you. I don't know what hell is for anyone else. I just know what my hell would be. So what I think of hell is maybe different to what you think of hell.
Yeah, but that doesn't help me with the text.
No, I know, but it does.
Because I want to know what hell is for Capernaum. Because Jesus is saying for Capernaum, it's Hades.
How bad is that for him? It may not be.
No, Capernaum is a place.
Yes, I know, but it may not be that bad.
Okay. It's a thought. This is why we try to unpack the text. Yeah? It's a thought. Okay, I'm going to send you to some resources in a moment. For the tech guys, can you go to any app store and bring up E.G. White? EGW, I believe it's called. E.G. White, you know the app. Some of us have that app. There's a few of us who have the E.G. White app. That's one of them. In the back, and then you can also find studylight.org. I'm giving you some examples of tools you can use. Studylight.org. Some of you have a better memory than me. My sister, can you remember for me? Biblical Research Institute. I don't know if you've heard of it, but just remember that for me because I'll need it in a minute, right? And I will forget. Biblical Research Institute. Somebody else remember, I think it's called Biblios. I think it's called Biblios. I thought I had the app for it. I could be wrong, but I think there's another one called Biblios. I'm giving you a few of the tools that you can use. Let me give you a thought. Just a thought in relation to this passage, this chapter. I'm not saying this is it. Jesus sends out the 70, and he gives them instructions in terms of, if you read it, you see he gives them instructions of the places where they accept you. Go there, eat, don't move house, stay one place, eat whatever they give you. So when I come to your house, I should eat what you give me. Ooh, this is powerful. Some of you don't know that Ellen White, when she visited people, when she had become a vegetarian, she wasn't one all her life, and all they had was chicken, she ate it. Oh, this is radical. Go check it. You can go check it in the app. Right? Not because he had become now a meat eater, but it was to do with respect. And it was to do with love. But anyway, we'll see, because you'll already see that we're talking about how Jesus loved. You'll see how we get there. We'll get there quite quickly. Here's this notion. He sends them out. Certain towns accept them, stay there, eat, share the word in that place. Certain places they go to, they reject them. And these ones he curses. And he says the end for you is, where were we talking about? Hades. Whatever the concept of Hades may be, but certainly negative, yeah? Right? It's a curse. Later in the chapter, Jesus says this to the disciples: those who accept me, accept the one who sent me, right? And those who accept the ones I send, accept me. So you see this chain, this theological chain. The Father is the one that needs to be accepted. Jesus is the revelation of the Father. Accept Jesus is accepting the Father. To reject Jesus is to reject the Father. Now, what about those who go in his name? Of course, I have my personal preference. I don't like that one. They're too tall. Don't like that one because they're Egyptian. This one, I never like those Chinese people. I don't trust them. So why should that one come to teach me? Huh? He said, those who come in my name, if you reject them, you reject. And if you reject me, you reject the Father. And he says, for those who, this is my echo, my theological echo in the text. The result of rejection of those who Jesus says is the result is what? What do we get in Luke 10? Is hell, Hades, the curse, right? So he's saying if you reject the messengers, you reject the one who sent the message. Yeah? And the result is a curse. A little historical thing, and you could go check this out. Now we'll go into tools. I'll just say this one more thing, and you can go into tools. If you check the history of Chorazin, Bethsaida, and Capernaum, all of them, within 40 years of the end of Jesus' ministry, were rubble. All of them were rubble. The Romans destroyed them and left them nothing, dust and stones. So hell is contextual. Yeah? It doesn't necessarily mean the second coming, or it's contextual. This is some of the challenges. What's going on in the text? What's the answer? Because if you just go with one concept, you'll apply it in every scenario, and you'll have misunderstanding. Okay. So let's, the E.G. White one, can we bring that one up on screen? Well, I don't suppose you've got it loaded, have you? No, I don't know if they're able to load it. Well, okay, well, I'll just say this. Hands up anyone who has it. Now, this is, you don't get a prize for having it. It's just so I don't, is there anyone here who has the E.G. White app? So a couple of you, a few of you have it. It's free. Hello, free. Don't we like free? It's free. Yeah, there's the website and there's the app. I use both depending on what I want to do. So let me give you these things. In the E.G. White app, you can read all the publications that relate to Ellen White. So every book she wrote, every compilation that relates to her writings, yeah, and there's also some other authors that relate to the same period. What we call early Adventist authors who are there. So contemporaries of here, you get some of their writings as well. You also get Bibles, some Bibles. Here's something. My sister concordance, you could use a word. Yeah? But you can also use a text. Within the E.G. White, you could search by word. Yeah? And you will find everything she said relating to that word. So you could search by a name, whatever. Okay, you could even search by a phrase. That gets a bit more challenging because if you phrase it wrongly, nothing will come up. Okay? And those of you who understand search engines, you know how you can comma and separate and you can do multiple searches, yeah? Okay, fine. There's also this clever thing that's in there. You can search by text. There's a text index. So like I'm looking at Luke 10, I can look at the whole chapter and find out all the places where she speaks about it. Or I could say Luke 10:27. And I'll find all the places that she references Luke 10:27. Okay? So I can find out everything that she says about that. So biblical, my sister biblical. Biblical Research Institute.
And also on the Ellen White app, instead of reading, there is also an option to actually listen to the audios.
So you can listen to the audios of the book.
Yes, while in bed, or editing. You might.
Exactly. I've got many of her books. Do I pick up the physical book often these days? Not really. Biblical Research Institute is an Adventist theological website, forum, journal, we maybe want to put it. What it is, some of the top theologians in Adventism over the recent decades, they write articles on various subjects. Yeah? From, I don't know, women's ordination to baptism to, is Jesus really the same as the Father? Okay, that's not very hard to big words. But there's articles on various subjects, particularly contemporary subjects that may relate to questions that we're facing today. They might be writing on the book of Daniel on end time issues, the second coming, but you can find articles on all of these different things. And again, you can do text search, word search, and find the various articles. But they're, some of the top theologians, better minds than mine. And no, I have to say that because I read big. What was the other one? Study. Okay, so we're there. Are you able to do a search on, say, Chorazin, C-H-O-R? Yeah, we saw it in C-H, somebody spell it, C-H-O-R-A-Z-I-N-E? I use the app more, so I don't know how well. I don't know if you have to go into the. I don't know. You see, I know it's there, but I don't know what it's. Sorry, no. So what did you say?
So you went to the one that's online, so the last one.
Yeah, E.G. White writings online. If you go into that one.
Next one.
No, go back. E.G. That one. Yeah, go to, so you can go into that, visit the website. Okay. So up there, do the search Chorazin. C-H-O-R. No, I think C-H-O-R-A-Z-I-N-E. Yeah, you need to delete that. Anyway, you search for that and see what comes up. In my one, it's CH. Okay, so it's come up with every time she mentions Chorazin. Okay, that's an example. For those of you who are interested in studying, unpacking, I call it ripping the text. Yeah? Study Light. Study Light is a website. Are we able to go there? studylight.org. I already told you about BRI, didn't I? There's a BUC version of BRI. So one related to, I think it's TED. There's a TED and a BUC one. There's a TED, so this is TED, Trans-European Division, Top Theologians and Adventists, and they also write articles. There's one which is the BUC, this is more recent. So, British Union Conference, you may not know, but I sit on that one and write articles. So, okay. Are we able to go to studylight.org? It's not an app. It's not an app, just a website. I'll give you, these are examples. There's many others. If you just type in study light, it will find it. Study light. L-I-G-H-T. Yeah, studylight.org. So you can go into that one. I won't go into all the details, but you can pick up all different versions of the Bible, etc. I want to show you this thing. At the top, you can see where it says Bible Study Tools. Yeah? Bible Study Tools. Just near the top under the heading. Yeah? So click on that. In the search box, don't click on anything, go into Bible Tools Search at the front there. Let's put in, let's grab something from look, what verse is it where Jesus falls as, where Jesus falls, where Satan falls as light? Which verse was it in Luke 10? 13? 18? Okay, so let's put in Luke 10, 18. Okay. Now what's come up, if you look, it's got, are we able to? Yeah. So you can see, read for yourself. Commentaries, concordances, yeah, dictionaries, encyclopedias. All these are things you can go into. Let's come down. Let's go into one which is really unfriendly. Come down. Where is it? Expositor's Greek Testament. Yeah, let's be a bit horrible. Expositor's Greek. No, not that one. Come down. Go back. Just go back. Just click back. Okay, fine. Come down. Keep coming. Okay, let's go back up to the one which said the Greek one. I think it was 9 pages. Come. Critical commentary and explanatory. Bible in the New Testament. These commentary on the New Testament. Let's go Bible study New Testament. Let's just choose that one. Up. You're nearly there. Bible study, the Bible study New Testament. So you can see that commentary has nothing on this verse. Yeah, it's just giving you an idea. So what it is, you can flick through the different commentaries and see if they will give you something that's of value. And you have hundreds, you saw hundreds of these commentaries. If you were to search on the word Mary, thousands and thousands would come up. Here's a little fact for you. Mary was the most popular name in the time of Jesus. Some historians have argued that based on their searches, almost 50% of women were called Mary. Why the name Mary? I don't know. Maybe somebody could do that research. Okay, let's forget those things for the moment. I'll just give you this summary and close. Loving like Jesus loved. So my question was, for me, is what's this whole narrative about? If you reject me, I reject you, and you receive a curse. And the curse is destruction, judgment, whatever it may be. But Jesus is saying to them, don't be like the Jews who know the law, but don't keep it. Who know the commandments, but don't practice it. Don't be like the lawyer who's trying to trap me in a question because he's quoting the Shema, which he knows we all know. But now when I ask him to go and do it, he doesn't say, thank you, Master, thank you, Rabbi, teacher, because he's not sitting at his feet like Martha, like Mary, right? He says, oh, who's my neighbor? And he gives him the story of the Good Samaritan. Here's a revealing thought. If you're reading the book Desire of Ages, Ellen White says that he was recounting a true story. And that the Levite and the Pharisee were in the audience who were hearing the story. Jericho Road was a deadly road. It went downhill from Jerusalem to Jericho, and there's robbers even up until today. It's still a dangerous road. It's still unsafe. Don't be like the Jews. Don't be like the Pharisee who is hearing me even now. I saw you when you saw him. Broken, robbed, stripped naked, and beaten. And you said, nothing to do with me. Don't be like the Levite who also passed by. And that was because, based on their understanding of the law, the purpose of a Jew is to protect themselves from any contamination from outsiders. So the Adventist who says, I won't even sit with that Sunday keeper. Yeah? Or the one who says, I understand the 2,300 days and this one doesn't, so how can we be, both of us be Adventists? So we're just measuring and judging, and because of that, our hearts become hard. And when we see the person in need, we can justify in our own mind why it's not our problem. They're not our concern because they're not one of us. So we pass by. And the most hated for the Jews at that time by the Romans was the Samaritans. Samaritan is like dirt, worse than a dog. Why would I help him? But the Samaritan passes by, sees the person beaten on the ground, and he helps them, gives them his donkey to ride on. He pays extra on the bill in case there's more that needs to be done. Why? What's he telling them? What's Jesus teaching in this story? What's he teaching in this narrative? That if you love like I love, there's those who will receive you and there's those who will reject you. Don't worry so much about those who reject you. I will deal with them. It's not for you to deal with them. Love like I love. Sit at my feet and I will teach you and send you. How will they know that you are mine? Because you can quote the law? Because you can quote the 10 Commandments? Because you know the order of the books of the Old and the New Testament? Because you've studied Greek and Hebrew? No, because when you see the person in need, will you love like Jesus loves? Or will your mind come up with excuses as to why it's not your problem? The Jew hates another Jew because he doesn't keep the... I remember me and my friend walking on a Friday evening, because sunset was coming. We're walking past the synagogue. I was, I don't know, 13, 14 or something like that at the time, young. And there was this guy standing on the road outside of the synagogue. And he called us over. It was two of us, so, we thought if he's dangerous, we'll take him. At 13, you think you're big anyway. At least boys do anyway. And he said, will one of you come in and switch on the light? Because he can't switch it on because it's the Sabbath. I, having grown in the Adventist church, knowing about the Sabbath, I said to him, so is it okay for me to break the Sabbath? He didn't have a response to that, but my friend had a more generous heart than me, and he went and switched the light on. Are we so concerned with the things of our day-to-day routine that we forget to spend time with Jesus? What is it they're seeing that no one has ever seen and had hoped to see, and many had died before and had not seen it? We're reading the book of Daniel. If you read every prophet and study it, it's a promise of the Messiah. It's always about when Jesus will come, either the first time or the second time. It all leads to the same thing. So he's saying, wait a minute, all the prophets had hoped to see me. I am here, Chorazin. I am here, Capernaum. I am here, Bethsaida, and you've rejected me. Martha, leave those dishes. I didn't come for your food. I came to bless you and to rescue you. To love like Jesus loves is to change our complete mindset. Last thought. I know we're over time. I cannot say I'm a Christian, sit in church here, I'm talking to myself, and these are hard sayings, who can hear them? Nomsa, say hi to me. If I'm loving the way Jesus loved, how is that possible? How is that possible? How is it possible to bear grudges, hatred, animosity, separation? Sometimes we just don't like them because they're from the wrong island or the wrong country or the wrong tribe. Hello? Am I speaking the truth? The Bible asks us to be different. Don't be like those hard-hearted Jews. Be like the good Jews. The apostles were good Jews. The disciples were good Jews. But they had a lot to learn. They had a lot to learn in order to become like Jesus. The whole passage, the whole text is asking us to be like Jesus, to rescue and love even our enemy. Who's my neighbor? Just the person in need. That's it. Amen.